Girls got him. Sure I got it right. Okay. How we doing for time? 11:06. Takes a little extra watch.
It might be gray, but it's not raining on us, and that's all I could ever ask as Director of Veteran Services. Thank you for coming out today on Memorial Day and helping us to honor our fallen. We'll now have the Milton High School Chorus with Lift Every Voice and our national anthem. Veterans, you are allowed to salute when the national anthem is played. Awesome job. Thank you very much. And now I would like to ask my Girl Scouts and Daisies to come on up so we can help with the Pledge of Allegiance. And these are from Milton Girl Scout Troop 84553. And also 70724. All right, come on in, come on in. Everybody get together, right? Gonna say the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, excellent, come on. Hold it in tight, come on, hold it in tight, right? All right. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Thank you. I wanted to lend my appreciation to our... Yeah, we did now? Oh. I killed another microphone. I've managed to kill it. Okay. I want to thank the Girl Scout troops and their leaders for coming out because they're after me and they send me these little emails. Hey, are we on this year? Yes, every year we'll have the Girl Scouts lead our Pledge of Allegiance. It's one of the greatest things about Milton that we have such an active group of scouts here taking care of things in our community. Thank you. We'll now have the invocation by Reverend Kirkham Hall of St. Michael's Episcopal Church, Milton, Mass.
Let us bow our heads in the spirit of prayer. O Holy One, we stand in a broken world that too often centers aggression and violence as its means for resolution and peace. In the silent stirrings of our hearts today, far below and apart from the din, we hold in memory those who gave over their lives to serve their nation's call, a call which echoes your own, O Holy One. Liberty for the captives, security for the weak, the lifting of the bar from the oppressed, and the care and nurture for the wounded and dying on fields of battle and in places of chaos. O Holy One, sanctify their deaths as testimonies to a yearning that we all share, a yearning for a just peace, for liberty, and for an end to suffering imposed by systems of domination. Let their memories be for us today a hymn of gratitude and blessing, and words of counsel that challenge each of us to build a fellowship of humanity in which we study war no more. Amen.
Try to get this thing going again. Yeah, let's try it again. How about that? Thank you, Reverend. I think your effect on the microphone was well placed. I'll take any help I can get on a day like today. Now we're going to have the welcome remarks from outgoing Chairman James Coyne, Milton Cemetery Trustees. Yeah, please be seated.
Thank you, Kevin. Good morning. My name is James Coyne, and on behalf of the fellow trustees of the Milton Cemetery, Jed Dolan, Terrence Driscoll, Stephen Pender, and Joseph Reardon, I welcome you to the 2024 Memorial Day service here in the Veterans section of the Milton Cemetery. Behind me is the final resting place of those that gave their lives for the protection of this great country and all its freedoms. This is a somber day of reflection, a time to remember those men and women who helped deliver us our freedoms, but who never got the chance to step off the fields of battle. We are forever indebted to these fallen heroes. As trustees, we are fortunate to have Lisa Ahern as our superintendent, along with her incredible staff, which includes Meg Toyas, Mark Chapman, Matthew Bellafato, Joe Baxter, Joshua Savory, Dave Cunha, Solomon Rodriguez, Wanda Paxandre, and Jack Ryder. These are the people who meticulously care for the 104 acres that we like to call the most beautiful municipal cemetery in Massachusetts. The grounds of Milton Cemetery are a unique place. While it is part of think we lost it, Kevin. I have an Irish whisper, so I don't think I'll have a problem. The grounds of Milton Cemetery are a unique place. While it's part of everyday scene, it is not part of everyday life. This is to say, it is a place where tranquility and quiet are the desired norm and should be treated with dignity and respect at all times when visiting. It's also important to recognize the countless volunteers led by Veterans Agent Kevin Cook, who took it upon themselves the past few weeks to visit each and every veteran's grave and residence and adorn them with a new American flag. They are not forgotten and never will be. In total, more than 1,200 flags were placed this year. Our nation owes a debt to its fallen heroes, and we can never fully repay. The willingness of America's veterans to sacrifice for our country has earned them our lasting gratitude. On behalf of the trustees and our staff, thank you for being in attendance today. Okay.
It's touch and go. Oh, there we go. We're back. All right. At this point, I'm going to read off the list of dignitaries here. I want to recognize, first and foremost, I want to recognize all the Gold Star families in our community and all they've given to us in Milton. This list normally would be read by Frank Stout from the American Legion, and of course he passed 2 years ago. Okay. And I think of him often on Memorial Day because he was the one who helped get this started for me. All right, I'm done. And give me all the different guidelines and things we needed to do to make sure Memorial Day was memorable. First and foremost, I'd like to recognize the Republic of Korea Consul General, Mr. Jae Hyuk Kim, with us today, our featured speaker. There you go. Oh. And my steady helper here every year jumps in.
That's okay.
So this one?
Turn this one off first.
Yeah.
This is off.
All right, we go on. Senator Walter Timblety, Representative William Driscoll, Representative Fluker Oakley, Richard Wells, Chairman of the Milton Select Board, Nicholas Milano, Town Administrator, Milton Cemetery Trustee Jim Coyne and his board, Lisa Ahern, of course, who does an amazing job making this the most beautiful cemetery in Massachusetts, Town Moderator Robert Hiss, clergy members Reverend Kirkham Hall and Rabbi Benjamin, and American Legion Post 114 Commander Paul McDonald. I will now read remarks on behalf of the Milton Veterans Services Office. I recently took a trip down to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania with my oldest son, who's also a Navy veteran, as we are both overwhelmed by the history of that location. Can I ask for a raise of hands? How many here have been to Gettysburg? Okay. I will say not enough. It's an amazing place, and it's an amazing location to go to and visit and to see what went on there when you realize it was not strategic, it was not important, it wasn't a railhead or some other supply depot, but it became the most important battle of the entire war. I didn't go to the museums, although they're beautiful, and there's many things to see. We went to walk the battlefields and see these locations we know of by name. The wheat field, the peach orchard, Devil's Den, places where the ground was soaked in blood of 52,000 men who died in 3 days of fighting. It is not without significance that we mention that 58,000 men died fighting the Vietnam War over 15 years. At Gettysburg, we lost 52,000 men in 3 days. That was after Manassas, Bull Run, Antietam, the bloodiest day ever in American military history, where 23,000 men died in 1 day. I had to go to this place and pay respects because those men gave us today. Every one of those, and some from Milton too. I couldn't get out of the car at Devil's Den. I couldn't walk on that ground. I said to my son, there's too much blood. So we went by it, and I stopped away from it and paid respects to it. But I would not step on that ground. I implore you, if you have a chance, go see Gettysburg. You will not be mistaken. And you will not be upset that you took the time to go down there. It's an amazing place, and I implore you to go visit it. No less significant, of course, are the battles and men who were lost in other wars. Today, we are honored to have the Consul General from the Republic of Korea here with us. It's not every day that we have a foreign dignitary come to Milton, but he is my friend, and he is here today with us to share in his respect for all the men that gave the ultimate sacrifice to save the Republic of Korea. One of those men from Milton was named Robert E. Hinney, and I found his picture in a newspaper article mentioning him at the time. The PFC Robert F. Hinney, son of Mr. and Mrs. Francis J. Hinney of 51 Hollis Street, Milton, has been killed in action in Korea. His parents have been notified by the Army. The first Milton boy to die in this war, PFC Hinney lost his life Easter Sunday after parachuting to the fighting area on Good Friday. A native of Hyde Park, he moved to Milton 10 years ago, attended Mary A. Cunningham Junior High School and Milton High, transferring to St. Charles Academy in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, where he graduated in June 1949. He enlisted in the Army in July of that year, and after basic training at Fort Dix, he volunteered for paratrooper service, trained at Fort Benning and at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and went to Korea last September. Besides his parents, he's survived by his sister, Mary A. Duffy, and 2 brothers, Francis J. Heine and James E. Heine, both veterans of World War II. A burial ceremony and Mass will be celebrated at St. Agatha's Church, East Milton, Monday at 9 a.m. So we're here today for PFC Hinney and all the others who gave this ultimate sacrifice to preserve our freedoms so we can be here as a community today in Milton. And I could not be more honored to make sure that these men are remembered here every year. Thank you. We'll now have the Governor's 351 proclamation read by our Project 351 ambassador. She's coming. Oh, she's coming. And she was a last minute, so I didn't get her name, so I'll allow her to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Faith Kelly. A proclamation. Whereas while the nation was still recovering from the Civil War, people in cities and towns across the country gathered to honor the soldiers who had given their lives celebrating the first Decoration Day. And whereas after World War I, the nation came together again to honor those who had fallen in the service of their country, renamed Memorial Day. The last Monday in May is when people remember and honor the memory of all men and women who had fought and died in all American wars and conflicts. And whereas throughout our country's history, thousands of Massachusetts residents have fought in wars and conflicts to defend our safety and way of life. And whereas their legacy of patriotism and dedication to country is an inspiration to all Americans. And whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts residents remember the bravery of those who gave their lives so that their sacrifices serve as a reminder of the cost of our freedom. Now, therefore, I, Maura T. Healy, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim May 27, 2024, to be Memorial Day. and urge all residents of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in its observance. Given at the Executive Chamber in Boston, this 27th day of May, in the year 2024, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 247th, by Her Excellency Maura T. Healey, Governor of the Commonwealth, Kimberly Driscoll, Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth, and William Francis Galvin, Secretary of the Commonwealth. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Thank you very much. It's not easy to get up here and read, especially when you're 8th grade? 8th grade. So I give her a lot of kudos for coming up here, and she jumped right in, and I appreciate everything you've done for us today. Please take that home.
Thank you.
We'll now have remarks by Richard Wells, our Chair of Select Board, Milton.
I'm afraid to touch the microphone.
Hey, it's all on you the minute you put your hand on it. God.
Afraid to touch this. Good morning. Welcome to our veterans. Welcome to Secretary Kim, the Consul General of South Korea, our state elected Senator Walter Timilty, Representative Brandy Fuka-Oakley, and Representative William Driscoll. Welcome to Milton's Memorial Day Remembrance. This weekend, in gardens of stone all across our nation and around the globe, Americans gather in remembrance. Today, we honor the 1.1 million Americans who have died in service to our country. Memorial Day is also a time to reflect on the principles that each of them fought to protect. Our presence in this personal garden of stone, our Milton Cemetery, illustrates the honor we have for those who have served, as well as the brave men and women who stand watch today in foreign lands, on the seas, and in the air. They stand their post united, protecting our greatest asset, American freedom. This morning, I would like to thank each of you here for taking the time to attend this ceremony and visit this final resting place for the town of Milton. This reverent parcel holds the remains of local fallen heroes from so many wars. The culmination of today's observance took a great deal of time and effort, and I'd like to begin by extending, on behalf of my colleagues, Roxanne Musto, John Culhane, Aaron Bradley, Benjamin Zoll, and Town Administrator Nicholas Milano, our personal gratitude, with special thanks to our clergy and our keynote speaker. I would also like to thank Chair Driscoll and the trustees of Milton Cemetery, as well as Superintendent Lisa Ahern and all her staff who work tirelessly each year, ensuring the natural beauty and perpetual respect that this cemetery offers. Their dignity and pride shown to everyone who visits a family member, friend, or even an unknown warrior here is exemplary. Next, I would also like to thank our Veteran Service Officer, Kevin Cook, a naval veteran of the Iraqi War, for being the special envoy to our Milton and Randolph veterans, as well as honoring all in uniform who have left this world. Kevin, what happened? Kevin, your diligence and protective personality is truly commendable. Thank you also to the Town Hall staff, Consolidated Facilities, and DPW personnel who work behind the scenes to make this service a remarkable one. Thank you to our police and fire departments and the auxiliary personnel. They are the men and women who protect you personally, always on call, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. If you have a moment to walk this cemetery, every grave of every police officer and every firefighter who has served this town is identified by the bronze steel marker of the shield they wear. You can see some of them displayed on graves directly in front of me and in the veterans' graves behind us. These markers illustrate the hundreds who have served the Milton Police and Fire Departments for well over a century. Thank you to all the Scoutmasters, teachers, and band directors for preparing the talent of our next generation to participate today, and to each and every parent present who came to this service. My final thank you today is directed to these students and every child present here. Thank you for honoring the sacrifice and service of men and women who fought in wars long before your birth. I would like to share with you a story. It was told before the 2014 graduation class at the University of Texas at Austin. The speaker was United States Naval Admiral William McRaven. The Admiral spent 37 years as a Navy SEAL and ultimately became the commander of all United States Special Operations. I have had the distinct privilege to meet this hero on several occasions. The speech he gave that day to 10,000 graduates has become one of the greatest motivational presentations of modern day history. Some of you here may know the facts, may have even read Admiral McRaven's best-selling book. But to these Americans on this day, he had just a simple message. It began on the first days of his SEAL training in California. SEAL training is tough and arduous and lasts for 6 months. Mornings, though, begin with a simple task, one which he describes as mundane. It involved simply making your bed. The undertaking is minimal. Tight corners with perfectly tucked sheets, and a blanket, pillow placed at the head. This daily requirement at first seemed foolish to this young sailor. Given the difficult tasks of SEAL training, he had a hard time understanding this daily routine, but his life would teach him, and I quote, "If you begin each day, you'll have started it with a completed task, an accomplishment to build on. Before you know it, one positive task may lead to 2, 3, or more. Making your bed every day is just a small action that matters." Admiral McRaven would continue illustrating, if you do the little things right each day, you have a high likelihood that each little decision you make may one day lead to a very positive big one. Last, but just as important as he stated, if you have the most miserable day of your life, you will come home that night and go to sleep in a bed that you made, a bed that's comfortable and can only give you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. To all the students and young adults present today, you represent the future, the tomorrows of the town of Milton, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and our beloved country, the United States. On this Memorial Day, I ask that we each embrace the service of so many young men and women who sacrificed their tomorrows so that we may cherish the greatest of all American gifts, freedom. Thank you all again for attending and honoring so many this Memorial Day. May God bless you.
All right. Richard has been one of my greatest supporters and biggest help since I've been here. I cannot thank him enough for all the things he's done to help me continue to honor the veterans here in Milton. Now the Milton High Chorus and Marching Band will do the Armed Forces Salute. Service members, when you hear your service emblem come up, you may stand and salute. of every year, and I love it. This is the sound of Memorial Day for me. We'll bring up our next speaker and have the recitation of General Logan's Order by Milton resident Mike Musto. General Logan's Order was given in 1868, May 5th, and it was the codification of what we do on Memorial Day.
General Orders Number 11. The 30th day of May, 1868, is designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. In this observance, no form or ceremony is prescribed, but posts and comrades will in their own way arrange such fitting services and testimonials of respect as circumstances may permit. We are organized, comrades, as our regulations tell us, for the purpose, among other things, of preserving and strengthening those kind and fraternal feelings which have bound together the soldiers, sailors, and Marines who united to suppress the late rebellion. What can aid more to assure this result than by cherishing tenderly the memory of our heroic dead who made their breasts a barricade between our country and its foes? Their soldier lives were the reveille of freedom to erase in chains, in their deaths the tattoo of rebellious tyranny in arms. We should guard their graves with sacred vigilance. All that the consecrated wealth and taste of the nation can add to their adornment and security is but a fitting tribute to the memory of her slain defenders. Let no wanton foot tread rudely on such hallowed grounds. Let pleasant paths invite the coming and going of reverent visitors and fond mourners. Let no vandalism of avarice or neglect, no ravages of time, testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten, as a people, the cost of a free and undivided republic. If other eyes grow dull and other hands slack, and other hearts cold in the solemn trust, ours shall keep it well as long as the light and warmth of life remains in us. Let us then, at the time appointed, gather around their sacred remains and garland the passionless mounds above them with choicest flowers of springtime. Let us raise above them the dear old flag they saved from dishonor. Let us, in the solemn presence, renew our pledges to aid and assist those whom they have left among us as sacred charges upon the nation's gratitude, the soldiers and sailors, widow and orphan. It is the purpose of the Commander-in-Chief to inaugurate this observance with the hope that it will be kept up from year to year while a survivor of the war remains to honor the memory of his departed comrades. He earnestly desires the public press to call attention to this order and lend its friendly aid in bringing it to the notice of comrades in all parts of the country in time for simultaneous compliance therewith. Department commanders will use every effort to make this order effective. By command of John Logan, Commander-in-Chief.
Good job. Thanks. Michael was a last-minute addition, and I thank him for coming up. It's not easy to stand up here when you don't do it regularly, but he did an awesome job. And General Logan's order is what we follow, and that's why we're in the cemetery today. So I salute General Logan for his foresight to give us this that has lasted hundreds of years and will last into the future. We'll now have a placement of the wreath, and I would call up my good friend. All right, we're back on. Yeah, it doesn't fit in the stand, though. That's the problem. I would call up the Republic of Korea, our Consul General, to place the wreath. We'll leave the microphone here. You can leave your marks right there.
Yes.
It is my honor and privilege to have the Consul General here with us today. I have known him for about a year and a half now, maybe, and we've had him in Milton at Fuller Village, where he recognized our Korean veterans with the Ambassador of Peace Medal from the Republic of Korea, including Mr. Stanley Bauer, who just passed recently and was one of the recipients. They have been very gracious, and they are our best friends. And I couldn't be prouder than to have them with us today to remember all those who gave the ultimate sacrifice to help preserve the Republic of Korea, our good allies. So I give you the Consul General, Mr. Jae-hoo Kim.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. Distinguished guests and members of the city of Milton, the Milton community, and all the states, the representatives and important guests. And ladies and gentlemen, before delivering the official remarks, I have to speak a few things about my feeling today here. As the Kevin mentioned it, I arrived in Boston just years ago, just 1 year ago, last June. And every year, my office makes the small ceremony to present the gratitude medal to the Korean War veterans and their families. I arrived Boston last year. My office got a few letters from the families of Korean War veterans, and my office find out that in Milton there are a few Korean War veterans in this facility, and also their widow and their families really want to share their memory and their experience with us. So we visit their place. That is the starting of the relationship with the city of Milton with my office. Last year, I presented the medal to 5 Korean War veterans and 9 the families. Their story is very touching. I'm not the generation of the experience of the Korean War. My parent generation experienced the Korean War. But my generation really enjoy that achievement of my parent generation, as on also devotion and sacrifice of many the United States soldiers who made ultimate sacrifice in my country in 1950 to 1953. In Korea now, our population is around 50 million. In Korea is a really democratic country, so we have so many different ideas in many agenda, economics, politics, international relations, diplomacy. We have so many different ideas, but 50 million Korean people has one same consensus, same idea, share everyone. That is one thing is, thank you for Korean War veterans and their families and their children. As you know, since the Korean War, even still, your son and daughter to come to Korea for serving the Korean Peninsula's freedom and liberty, and also prosperity of the Northeast Asia. Still, even today, 28,000, your son and daughter, your grandchildren, still serving in the Korean Peninsula. So I come here with my great honor and pleasure at this beautiful town of Milton and this meaningful cemetery to say thank you. Actually, to Korea, myself, I'm the living example of your devotion and sacrifice for my country. Thank you very much. So now I'm deliver the official that remarks. It is great privilege to stand before you today at Milton Cemetery as we commemorate the Memorial Days of year 2024. As the Consul General of the Republic of Korea, it is so honored to be here, to be present this meaningful event today. Today, all together, we pay homage to those brave souls who have done uniform and laid down their lives in the name of freedom, and democracy. Here in this cemetery, we ensure these souls are remembered with the honor they rightly deserved. Commemorating those veterans we honor today, I would like to convey heartfelt tribute to the lost soul in the Korean War. 28,000 U.S. soldiers made ultimate sacrifice. I'm very sorry to say still hundreds of soldiers, POW, missing action, who are unaccounted for. In the early 1950s, young men from the city of Milton left the comfort of home to fight on the unknown terrain of the Korean Peninsula. They fought alongside with the Korean soldiers against overwhelming the enemies. Their courage helped to secure freedom and safeguard the right of million Korean people. Today, we stand together, not just to remember their sacrifice, but also to celebrate the lasting peace and prosperity that their sacrifice nurtured not only on the Korean Peninsula, but also all over the world. The town of the Milton has fostered a deep and enduring connection with Korea. As I already mentioned that last year at Puller, the village, I met the Korean War veterans. Since then, so we kept the communication with the families about how they are going and how they are living. But recently we heard the very sad news. One Korean War veteran, he passed away. As I said, the Korean War is in 1953. It is already 70 years ago. At the time, many the soldiers who came to the Korean Peninsula is only 17 years old, 18 years old, only 20 years old. But times go on. 70 years is passed. Now the Korean veterans is 90 years old, even middle of 90 years old. So every year, so sad to hear the news of their passed away. I'm really sorry to hear our best friend, the memory with him. So already also we lost one more veteran. It's too sad. And on another occasion, so Mr. Kevin, so he presented very meaningful one small statue to me. It is the statue of the Navy Seabees. It is maybe some of you might know that this is Navy Expeditionary Combat Command. That command that came to Korea in 1950s. They actively engaged in Korean War, especially in 1950, September. there was an Incheon operation, amphibious landing operation. It is really changing the way of war from miserable war to hope. At that operation, this Navy CVs, they played very critical role. And I got the statue, but at the time, I didn't know what that statue mean, what this command mean. After that, I checked the internet, Googling, I found that the Navy CV played a very important role. I'm very sad to say, during the operation, a lot of the CV members also lost their soul. The bond between city of Milton and Korea is not built merely on the remembrance at past deed, but I'm sure is continually revitalized by the gratitude that flow from one generation to the next. The Korean community here and Boston and every United States, even from Korea, hold profound appreciation for the Miltons, the veterans, and their families. Let us also remember the families of those who served, the spouses, the children, friends, who bore the heavy burden of fear and uncertainty. Your suffering and sacrifice have not gone unnoticed. And today, we hold you in our collective heart with immense gratitude and respect. To our Korean War veterans and their families, we owe a debt that can never be fully repaid. We promise to carry your legacy of bravery and sacrifice with pride and honor. May this Memorial Day serve not only as a reflection of our past, but also as a commitment to our future. Thank you all souls who saved us. Thank you very much. 감사합니다.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep. Keep checking. It is also noteworthy that Consul General Kim, one of his key aides, is a resident here in Milton, Mr. Baejun Kim, and his kids go to Tucker Elementary. The diversity of Milton is just amazing, and I'm always grateful for the people who are here to help us, such as Mr. Kim and his boss, the Consul General. We'll now have the roll call of those veterans who passed in the last year. This list is provided to me annually by Susan Galvin, our town clerk, who does a great job every year, helps out. Her staff is amazing, so I want to thank her and thank her all staff of the town clerk. Senior Chief Danielle Sereno, another CB, will assist me in reading the names of the roll call of those who are not with us any longer. Stephen J. Matliano, Korea, Army, absent. Senior Chief, you will answer absent. Patricia A. Keeney, Korea, Army, absent. Francis L. Curley, Vietnam, Coast Guard, absent. Martin L. Kane, Vietnam, Army, absent. George H. Joseph, Vietnam, Army, absent. Jeffrey Geiger, Iraq, Army, absent. Edward P. Coughlin, World War II, Navy, absent. Robert Jones, Korea, USMC Marines, absent. William E. Hayden, Vietnam Navy. Edward P. Stewart, Vietnam Army. Robert B. Esso, Vietnam Army. Alexander J. Brogna, World War II Army. Melvin A. Klotz, Korea Army. Daniel T. Ryan, Vietnam Army. Arthur L. Phillips, Vietnam Marines. Joseph Joyce, Vietnam Navy. Daniel J. McMorrow, Korea Army. Andrew Francis Petty, Korean Air Force. William H. Mercer, Vietnam Army. Elliot P. Moses, Peacetime Army. Joel P. Krensky, World War II, Iwo Jima, Marine. Paul P. Devine, Korea Army. Joseph J. McHugh, World War II. James Green, Vietnam Army. John F. Monaco, Vietnam Air Force. Robert E. Mulry, Korea and World War II, Navy. Bertram S. Singer, Vietnam Army. Charles Manor, Vietnam Army. Norbert Edmund Lingerat, Vietnam Army. Edward M. Perkins, Vietnam Navy. Thomas J. Sullivan, Vietnam Army. Jarvis D. Brock, Vietnam Navy. John M. McDonough, Korea Army. Herbert A. Duke, Korea Coast Guard. Pericles John Havaris, Korea Army. John C. Robinson, Vietnam Navy. Charles A. Markland, Navy. Sidney John Hajar, World War II, Navy. Stanley L. Bauer, Korea Army. That concludes the reading of the names of all those veterans who passed in the last year from Milton. Thank you, Senior Chief. You are dismissed. We'll now have taps. Thank you. Oh, look at that. And now we will have remarks by State Senator Walter F. Timmelty. Go for it. Good luck with the mic.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Good afternoon, and a very special thank you. I know today is not Veterans Day, but each and every veteran who is here today with us today to commemorate our fallen heroes and heroines honors us with their presence. And I offer these remarks today on behalf of Representative Brandy Fluker-Oakley and Representative Bill Driscoll and myself. And very special thanks to our Select Board, our town government, our Veteran Services Officer Kevin Cook for making this happen today in conjunction with our cemetery trustees, Lisa Ahern, and our team here at the cemetery. It is a magnificent resting place for all, and we thank you for the dignity with which you treat our loved ones, and of course our veterans right here at the Veterans Plot. And of course to our Milton firefighters, Honor Guard, and our Milton Police Honor Guard, thank you very much for what you do each and every day. To our Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, thank you also for being here to honor our fallen heroes and heroines. Today on this Memorial Day, we gather to honor the brave service members of the United States Armed Forces who have made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our great nation. We remember, we reflect, and we pay tribute to these courageous heroes and heroines who have valiantly given their lives in service so that we may enjoy our freedoms and our liberties. Specifically, I believe that it is imperative to illuminate our heroes and heroines and share some of their stories of sacrifice. Let us remember Navy SEALs Nathan Gage Ingram and Christopher J. Chambers, who in January of this year attempted to board and interdict an unflagged ship in the Iranian Sea carrying Iranian-made weapons to the terrorist Houthi rebels in Yemen. As the Navy SEALs left their boat to board a ship that the United States Navy correctly believed was smuggling weapons and munitions, the waves widened the gap between the two vessels. Navy SEAL Chambers plunged into the water, and Navy SEAL Ingram immediately, like all Navy SEALs, jumped in to save his comrade. While the United States Navy successfully seized the weaponry and apprehended all on board, our courageous Navy SEALs, sailors Ingram and Chambers, were lost at sea. Their sacrifice reminds us of the ever-present dangers inherent in military service by the most magnificent armed forces the world has ever seen, the United States military. Especially so in the current global war on terror that our armed forces have been engaged in since September 11th, 2001. Moreover, let us also remember U.S. Army Private First Class Frederick Coleman Murphy. PFC Murphy served our country as a medic during World War II. He was a local South Shore resident, born in Boston, lived in Quincy, and graduated from Thayer Academy. He enlisted for service in Weymouth, serving the United States Army Medical Detachment Unit, 259th Infantry, 65th Infantry Division. As a medic with E Company, 259th Infantry, PFC Murphy landed in France in January of 1945. 2 months later, the 65th Infantry Division undertook its first major combat assignment to break through what was reputed to be the invincible defenses of the Nazis' Siegfried Line in the western parts of Germany. PFC Murphy was wounded in the right shoulder soon after his company had jumped off from the line of departure in an early dawn attack on March 18, 1945, at the Siegfried Line. However, he refused to be medevaced. Moreover, PFC Murphy forged ahead, administering first aid to his fallen soldiers from the 65th ID, while under heavy machine gun, mortar, and artillery fire. When the company ran into a thickly sown anti-personnel minefield and began to sustain even more casualties, PFC Murphy continued to disregard his own wounds and unhesitatingly braved the danger of exploding mines, moving about through heavy fire, treating their wounded until he stepped on a mine which severed one of his feet. This grave injury did not stop PFC Murphy. In spite of his own wounds, PFC Murphy struggled on with his work, tending to others, refusing to be evacuated. He crawled from soldier to soldier, administering battlefield Medicare, while in great pain and bleeding profusely. Finally, PFC Murphy crawled over a second anti-personnel mine in an effort to reach another fallen soldier, ultimately taking PFC Murphy's life with the wounds that he sustained from crawling right over that second mine. With an indomitable courage and an unquenchable spirit of self-sacrifice and supreme devotion to duty, which made it possible for him to continue performing his tasks while barely able to move, PFC Murphy saved many of his fellow soldiers. For his bravery in placing other lives above his own, the Congressional Medal of Honor was bestowed upon PFC Murphy. There are quite literally millions of stories of heroism and sacrifice from the United States Armed Forces. Truly, we are all humbled and inspired each and every time we learn of their stories that detail what our brave service members have endured. As a proud and thankful American, we must remember that our freedom is not free. Heroes and heroines, some from our very own families and neighborhoods here in the great town of Milton. I think of Corporal Lawrence O'Neill, United States Army Air Corps, who lost his life in World War II in the China-Burma India Theater. There is a bridge dedicated to Corporal O'Neill on Thatcher Street. I think of Will Cloney, who lost his life fighting in Vietnam for our country. The tennis courts at Kelly Field are dedicated to Will Cloney. And I also think of PFC Paul Curran, the first American boy killed in Vietnam, a paratrooper. The overpass over the expressway in front of Al Thomas Funeral Home is dedicated to PFC Curran. Those are the heroes and heroines that we all grew up with, and so many more. They have paid the highest price. They have sacrificed their own lives for the safety of our great nation and for the safety and the liberties that each and every one of us enjoy. Today, let us honor these heroes and heroines by remembering their courage, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to our nation. May the legacy of our soldiers, our Marines, our sailors, members of our Air Force, members of our Coast Guard, and members of our National Guard live on in all of our beings. They have protected us for generations to come. Thank you. May God bless America. May God bless our Gold Star families and our veterans and our fallen service members who've made the ultimate sacrifice so that we all may live in this wonderful nation. Thank you.
Give me just a second here. I'm looking for. Had one more piece of paper. No, I guess not. Oh, there it is. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Little housekeeping going on. Before I bring up my final speaker, Rabbi Benjamin, sorry, don't mind me, I'm having a little tough here. I want to remember that I was down, let you know, speak about, that I was down at the Jewish cemetery at Linwood Park in Randolph yesterday for a ceremony that we hold for the Jewish veterans there. It's a beautiful cemetery and one that we go to every year to honor our Jewish veterans. Hang on. I also want to, before I bring up Rabbi Benjamin, I want to tell you about Sergeant Roddy Edmonds. And Sergeant Roddy Edmonds was born in Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, and served in the Army. He was a devout Christian. But he was the senior non-com and the senior officer in charge of over 1,500 men at a prisoner of war camp outside Zieghausen, Germany. The order was given by the commandant that all the Jewish soldiers were to line up outside the barracks in the morning, and the German would separate them from the POWs. Sergeant Roddy Edmonds, being the senior enlisted and senior commanding officer, ordered all 1,500 men to stand outside in formation. When the German officer came out, he said, "Where are the Jews?" Sergeant Roddy Edmonds said, "We are all Jews." The German officer said, "This is impossible. You cannot be all Jews." Sergeant Roddy Edmonds again said, "No, we are all Jews here." The German officer took out his pistol, placed it at his head, and said, you will tell me which one of these men are Jewish." He said, "No, the Geneva Convention says we only need to give you name, rank, and serial number, and you will kill me, but you'll have to kill all of us, because we know who you are, and you will be identified, and you will be held after the war for a war crime." The German officer looked, backed off, put his pistol back in the holster, and walked away. On that one day, Sergeant Roddy Edmonds saved the life of over 200 Jewish servicemen. I could not be prouder to stand here in Milton Cemetery and say we are all Jews.
And we will stand by our Jewish friends and our Jewish soldiers for all they have done for our nation. They are under attack now. And we will stand with them because we are all Jews. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
This is my good friend, Rabbi Benjamin, who was there a week ago to put Stanley Bauer to rest and did an amazing job. I want to thank him for all he's done for our community. Thank you. Okay, you're good.
This is the flag that was presented at my father's funeral, Martin Robert Benjamin. He would have been 100 years old this past March. He served in the Navy during World War II. The words I'm going to share with you today were inspired by a prayer written by Rabbi David Wertschafter. God of life and death, service and sacrifice, courage and compassion. On this solemn day, we join together to remember those who died while serving this nation and to recognize the veterans who served, whether decades ago, yesterday, or still today. The cost of our conflicts causes conflicts within us. As idealists, we wish there were never any need for defense forces. Yet, as pragmatists, we know there will always be a need for them. As dreamers, we pray for a day when nation shall not lift up sword against nation. Yet as realists, we accept that there are circumstances where force must be responded to forcefully. The Psalms teaches, Bakei shalom veradfehu, to seek peace and pursue it. Yet it also declares that there are enemies of peace, haters in the world who must be confronted. We thank our soldiers, sailors, and pilots for doing that which we wish never needed to be done. And we pray for a world where our time and talent, strength and intellect and resources can be spent in fighting disease, defeating poverty, and defending the downtrodden. God of peace and war, conquered in conflict, hope, and heartbreak. We pray that the sacrifices of our fallen will forever be remembered and that reconciliation and recognition of our veterans not merely convey thanks, but demonstrate it. May we not merely proclaim peace to those near and far, but bring peace by doing the work required to realize it. May this be a blessing we take on ourselves in their name and in their honor. And let us say, Amen.
We will now have the conclusion of our ceremony with the Milton High Marching Band doing God Bless America. Thank you all for all you do to help us, and thank you all for your do for Milton and Milton's veterans, and thank you for coming out on another beautiful Memorial Day. Thank you.
ceremony. Enjoy the rest of your day.